The old billionaire lay on the hospital bed, tubes in his nose, and machines beeping like slow-talking drums. 12 grown daughters stood around him, all wearing expensive wrappers and gold, but their faces were full of fear. At the foot of the bed stood a young female doctor in a simple white coat, only 25 years old. Everyone in the room was staring at her like she was the one holding his life in her hands. The billionaire raised his weak hand, pointed at her, and used the last of his strength to whisper a strange, shocking wish, one that made all 12 daughters shout in anger and left the young doctor shaking, with her whole future standing on the edge of a cliff. Before we continue, please like and subscribe, and let us know where you're watching from. In the busy city of Udo, the hospital never slept. Ambulances wailed like crying goats. Nurses hurried up and down the halls. Babies took their first breath while, in other rooms, old people took their last. In the middle of all this noise and life walked Dr. Amara Nady, only 25 years old, with tired eyes and a stubborn heart. Amara was the kind of person who always walked fast, as if the ground was hot under her feet. Her white coat was already turning cream from too many night shifts and cheap washing powder. When she smiled, a dimple showed in her left cheek. But these days, she did not smile much. There was always another patient to see, another life hanging by a thin thread. She did not become a doctor because she loved money or glory. No. She became a doctor because of a small mud house in her village, many kilometers away, where her mother once died on a mat, bleeding because there was no doctor and no hospital. Amara still remembered that day. The village of Umwagu had only one old nurse who came twice a week. When her mother started bleeding after trying to give birth at home, they carried her on a motorcycle along the bad, red road, trying to reach a faraway clinic. Her mother never made it. The baby never cried. Her father wept like a child that day, and Amara, who was only 10, stood beside him and made a promise quietly inside her heart. "I will not let this happen again," she told herself. "I will become a doctor. I will help people. I will not chase money and forget human beings." That promise followed her like a shadow. Years passed. She read under kerosene lanterns. She walked long distances to school. When others mocked her and said, "Girls don't need all this book, just marry and rest," she only tightened her jaw and kept reading. With the help of a church scholarship and village contributions, she finally went to medical school in the city. Now, at 25, she was a house officer in Udo Central Hospital, working long hours and sending almost all her salary back home. Her father's blood pressure medicine. Her younger brother's school fees. Small money for her grandmother's arthritis balm. She lived in a small room near the hospital, with a mattress on the floor and 2 pairs of shoes. Life was not easy, but it made sense. Inside, however, something else was growing. A quiet anger. Every day she saw the rich come into the hospital with their big cars and bodyguards, shouting at nurses, demanding special rooms. They thought money could buy everything, even respect, even more life. They brought gifts to some doctors in big envelopes, hoping for special care, and ignored patients who were poor and dying beside them. It made Amara's chest hot. "Why do people worship money like a god?" she would ask her friend, Nurse Beezy. Beezy would only laugh softly. "My sister, money is a strong juju. Even you, if it catches you, you will dance." "Never," Amara always said. "I will not let money lead me. I will not become greedy." She believed it. Until the day the billionaire came. It was a rainy afternoon. The sky was dark, and thunder rolled like a big talking drum across the city. Amara had just finished stitching a boy who fell from a tree when she heard loud noise from outside the emergency ward. Car doors slamming, men shouting, nurses' feet slapping the floor as they ran. "Doctor! Dr. Amara!" Beezy rushed in, her eyes wide. "They are bringing Chief Obinna Okafor. That billionaire from the news. He had an accident on the express road." The name hit the room like cold water. Chief Obinna. Everyone in Udo knew that name. He owned hotels, fuel stations, transport companies, farms, and even a big football club. People said he had houses in 3 countries. People also said he had 12 daughters and no son, and that he was still hoping to have a male child even at his old age. Some said he was generous. He gave bags of rice every Christmas. He paid school fees for some children. He built a borehole in his village. Some said he was wicked and proud. He crushed small businesses that stood in his way. He never forgot an insult. He treated staff like dust. In stories, he was both hero and villain, depending on who was talking. Now he was coming to her ward. Amara dropped her pen, washed her hands quickly, and hurried to the emergency entrance. The sliding glass doors opened with a hiss. Two men in dark suits pushed a stretcher inside. On it lay Chief Obinna, his white kaftan stained with blood, his face pale. One leg was twisted strangely. A neck collar held his head in place. His eyes were half open, clouded with pain and confusion. Behind the stretcher, a crowd of people flowed in like a river breaking through a dam. Bodyguards, drivers, relatives on their phones, shouting into the air. A woman in expensive lace crying loudly. Another woman, tall and slim, with sharp eyes and a gold wristwatch, was already shouting at the nurses. "Where is the consultant? Do you know who this is? He must not die, do you hear me?" Amara felt her stomach tighten. She hated scenes like this. "Please," she said, raising her voice, trying to sound calm and firm. "Everyone step aside. Give us space to work. Only 1 or 2 family members inside. The rest should wait outside." They ignored her. The tall woman looked at Amara from head to toe. "You," she said, her nose wrinkling. "You are the doctor? Where is your consultant? Where is your head of department? We want the best." "I am the doctor on call," Amara replied. Her heart thumped, but her voice did not shake. "If you waste time arguing, we will lose minutes that can save his life." For a moment, only the rain and the beeping machines spoke. Then the billionaire slowly turned his head, just a little, and his eyes met Amara's. They were not weak like she expected. They were sharp, testing, like someone weighing her soul. "Let her handle it," he murmured, each word like a stone rolling down a hill. "Papa, no," the sharp-eyed woman protested. "We must call." "Let her," he repeated, and closed his eyes in pain. The room turned toward Amara. In that moment, something strange passed through her. This man, this rich man that people either feared or respected, had chosen her to stand between him and death. "Move him to resuscitation," she ordered. "Nurse Beezy, start oxygen. Get 4 lines, 2 wide bores. Send blood samples. Order an urgent CT scan. And someone, please, keep the corridor clear." Her hands worked quickly, trained, steady. They checked his breathing, his blood pressure, his pulse. They treated the bleeding. They gave pain medicine. They prepared to move him for scans. Hours stretched like rubber. Clinic time ended. Some staff went home. Night shift nurses came in. Rain turned to cool darkness outside. Still, they worked on Chief Obinna, fighting quietly with death. By night, he was in the ICU, surrounded by machines. The scan showed internal injuries, broken ribs, a damaged liver. The surgery team had done their best. Now it was a waiting game. Amara sat at his bedside, checking his charts. The room was dim, the air cold. She saw the 12 daughters for the first time that night. They came into the ICU one by one, like a rainbow of expensive wrappers. Some were older, in their 40s. Some were young, with phones glued to their hands. One had a baby tied to her back. They all had the same sharp nose and the same fearful eyes. They spoke in low tones, but sometimes their whispers rose like smoke. "Lawyers must come tomorrow." "What about his will?" "Don't start that talk now, En. He will not die." "You're talking as if you don't know Papa. He always prepared for everything." Behind their words, Amara heard something else. Worry, jealousy, old wounds. The oldest daughter, the sharp-eyed one from earlier, came close to Amara. "Doctor," she said, her voice softer now. "What are his chances?" Amara breathed in slowly. "He is very sick," she answered honestly. "We did our best. The next 3 days are very important. Only God can say what will happen. The woman's eyes shone with sudden tears, then turned hard like stone again. My name is Adora, she said. I am the firstborn. If anything happens, call me first. We don't want outsiders making decisions for our father. Outsiders. The word felt like a tiny stone thrown at Amara's chest. She was used to it. Poor village girl working in a rich man's world. Outsider everywhere. That night, when her shift ended, she walked back to her small room, her mind heavy. She thought of her family in Mwagu, probably eating gari and okro by lantern light. She thought of the billionaire's daughters, their gold jewelry shining even in the ICU light. She thought of Chief Obina's sharp eyes and how he had chosen her with just one look. In her tiny room, she knelt by the bed to pray. God, she whispered, help me do what is right. Let me not lose myself because of rich people and their troubles. She lay down, but sleep refused to come. Her phone buzzed with a message from her father, thanking her again for the money she sent last week. You are our light, he wrote. May you never be carried away by city life. City life. Greed. Money. She turned on her side, staring at the cracked wall. The next morning, when she returned to the hospital, she did not know that her life was about to twist like a road after heavy rain. Because while she was washing her hands and tying her hair back, Chief Obina was waking up in the ICU with one clear idea in his mind, and it had everything to do with her. He had already told the nurses that he wanted to speak to only Dr. Amara Nady, alone, without his daughters, without his lawyers, without anyone else. And what he planned to ask her would shake her whole world. The morning sun over Udo looked gentle, but inside the hospital, the air was tight. Amara walked down the corridor to the ICU, her stethoscope hanging around her neck like a small, cold snake. Nurses moved quietly, pushing trolleys, checking drips. The smell of spirit and medicine floated in the air. Dr. Amara, Nurse Beezy whispered, catching up with her. Chief has been asking for you. Only you. Since 5 a.m. His daughters are not happy. Amara's heart did a small jump. Did anything change? She asked quickly. His blood pressure? His breathing? He is stable for now, Beezy said. But his eyes, they are like someone who has already counted his remaining days. They reached the ICU door. Through the glass, Amara could see the billionaire on the bed, chest rising slowly, machines around him like silent guards. 3 of his daughters stood at one side, whispering. Adora, the firstborn, had her arms crossed tight, her face hard. As Amara stepped in, Adora turned. Doctor, she said, voice stiff but polite. You're here. Papa has been disturbing everybody, saying he must talk to you alone. We think he is anxious. Please calm him down, but remember he needs rest. I will, Amara replied. Adora's eyes held hers for one long second. There was fear there, but also something sharper, like someone who was afraid of losing control. One by one, the daughters left the room, even though they clearly did not want to. The last one, a younger girl with tears running down her cheeks, looked back at her father and whispered, Daddy, please don't talk too much. The door closed behind them. Suddenly the room felt bigger and quieter, with only the soft beeping of the heart monitor and the low hiss of oxygen. Amara stepped closer to the bed. Good morning, Chief, she said. How are you feeling today? He opened his eyes slowly. The sharpness was still there, but now was mixed with something else, tiredness, maybe, or sadness. Doctor, he said, voice rough but clear. Come closer. Sit. She pulled a chair and sat near his head, close enough to see the light scars on his hands, the fine gray hair on his chin. You saved my life yesterday, he said. Or, at least, you bought me some time. Time is the most expensive thing in this world. Even I cannot buy it with all my money. I only did my job, sir, Amara answered. He gave a tiny smile. That is what I like about you, he said. You speak plain. No sugar. Tell me, what is your name, fully? Dr. Amara Chidinmanady, she replied. Amara, he repeated slowly, as if tasting the name. It means grace, ABI? Yes, sir. He was quiet for a while, catching his breath. The machine beside him beeped in steady rhythm. Then he said, "Do you know my story, Amara?" She hesitated. "I know a little. People talk. They say you built many businesses, that you help some people, that you have 12 daughters. And no son," he said, like he was finishing a bitter proverb. "No heir." The word hung between them. He shifted, wincing in pain. "In our place," he continued, "people value sons more than daughters. Even now, even with all this talk of modern life. A man like me, with all my land and companies, people expect a male child to carry my name, to sit on my chair when I am gone." He paused, breathing slowly. "I tried," he said. "I married early. My first wife, my second, later, others. 12 girls. No boy. Some girls even accused me. Daddy, do you think we are useless because we are not boys? But I love my daughters. I love them. Still, I wanted a son. I wanted one so badly that I walked with pride and worry in the same heart." Amara listened quietly. His eyes were now far away, looking at something she could not see. "You know the sad thing?" he asked. "What, sir?" "In all my running after money and power and one small boy that God refused to give me, I forgot the most important thing. I forgot peace." He swallowed, lips dry. "Tell me, Amara, are you married?" She almost laughed. "No, sir." "Boyfriend?" She shook her head. "No, sir." "I have family to take care of. I am still trying to stand well." He studied her face slowly. "You are from the village," he said softly. "I know that look. The look of someone who grew up with lantern light and buckets of water on her head. Tell me your village." "Omwagu, sir. In Imo State." "And your parents?" "My mother is late," she said, the words still feeling heavy after so many years. "My father's a farmer. My younger brother is in secondary school. My grandmother stays with them." He closed his eyes for a moment. "Is there a hospital in Omwago?" "No, sir," Amara said. "The closest one is far. That is how I lost my mother." Silence filled the room like water filling a pot. "I see," he said quietly. "So that is your wound. And that is your fire." She did not answer. A small knot tightened in her chest. How could this man, who just met her, see so much? He turned his head slightly, looking at the ceiling. "Amara," he said at last, "I am dying." Her heart skipped. "Sir." "Don't comfort me," he cut in gently. "I have lived long. I have eaten life. I have seen doctors' faces long enough to know when they are hiding bad news. I may last days, maybe weeks, but I will not stand up from this bed and walk into my office again. I will not drive my car again. I will not hold a baby again unless God does a big miracle." Amara swallowed, feeling dry. "I am sorry, sir," she said softly. He gave a small shrug. "I am not afraid of death," he said. "I am afraid of what I will leave behind. Greedy uncles, hungry board members, land disputes, daughters who will fight each other, workers who will lose their jobs. Do you understand?" Yes, she understood. Money was not just money at his level. It was power, war, temptation. "I have a will," he went on. "But there's a problem. A big one. Many of my brothers, my village chiefs, even some people on my company board, they still believe a woman should not head such a large empire. They may smile now, but when I die, they will say, 'Ah, this man left everything to girls. Let us help them manage.' And we both know what that means." He looked at her again, the sharpness back in his eyes. "I need an heir," he said slowly. "A son. It is not about pride anymore. It is about protecting what I built and protecting my daughters from wolves." Amara felt a small river of anger inside her. "But your daughters can lead," she said. "Women can run businesses." "They can," he agreed. "Some of them are smarter than most men I know. But will society allow them to lead in peace? Will the village, the elders, the extended family, the board? Sometimes, to fight a foolish world, you must speak its language first. A male heir will shut many mouths." He breathed out, long and shaky. "For years, I chased a son," he said. Kept marrying, kept trying. I was greedy. Foolish. I hurt some people. I know that now. His voice dropped. But lying here, facing the end, I have one last wish. One last chance to make things straight. To protect my daughters. To help someone like you. To do something good and selfish at the same time. Amara's palms felt suddenly sweaty. What is this last wish, sir? She asked, though part of her did not want to know. He looked straight into her eyes. I want you, Dr. Amara Nady, he said quietly, to bear me a son. The world seemed to stop. For a moment, Amara thought she had heard wrongly. Her ears buzzed. The beeping of the monitor suddenly felt too loud. Sir, she whispered, blinking fast. I don't understand. I want you to carry my child, he said, each word slow and clear. Not by foolish behavior, no. I am not asking you to do anything dirty. There are medical ways. IVF. Doctors can explain all that. He closed his eyes, then opened them again. I have seen the way you work. You are not greedy. You have a good head and a good heart. I do not want a son from a woman who only loves my money. I want a son who will grow under someone who understands suffering and will not waste what I leave behind. Amara stood up without knowing she had moved. This is too much, sir, she stammered. You don't even know me well. I am your doctor, not. I will not force you, he said quickly, though his fingers clenched the sheet. Listen first. If you agree, I will put it in my will, clearly. Your son will be my heir. Your name will be respected. You will receive money, not just for yourself, but to build a proper hospital in your village. To send your brother to any school in the world. To care for your family. To help others like your mother. That is my promise. Images rushed through her mind. A real hospital in Umwagu. No more women dying on mats. Children getting treated on time. Her father not struggling with farm and medicine. Her brother in university. Her grandmother not groaning in pain on cold harmattan nights. Then another image. Her face on gossip tongues. People saying, that young doctor, she sold her womb to a billionaire for money. The 12 daughters looking at her with hatred. Her name dragged in the mud. I know how it sounds, Chief Obina said. Like a rich man trying to buy a poor girl's life. Maybe that is true. Maybe this is my last act of greed. But it is also my last chance to fix things. I am offering you a heavy road, Amara, not an easy one. She wrapped herself in silence. Her heart beat so loudly she could hear it in her ears. I need time, she whispered at last. This is not small, sir. My family, my faith, my future, everything will change. You have little time, he replied, voice suddenly weaker. Death does not wait for people to think too long. But I will give you one day. Think. Pray. Talk to your father if you must. Tomorrow, come back with your answer. Yes or no. If you say no, I will not ask again. I will find another way to die in peace. If you say yes, his eyes glistened. If you say yes, I will call my lawyer. I will call my daughters. I will make everything clear before I go. One day, 24 hours to choose between a quiet, simple life and a road full of money, noise, and heavy responsibility. Amara left the ICU with her mind spinning. She almost bumped into Adora in the corridor. Doctor, Adora said quickly, eyes narrow. What did he tell you? He has been talking about making some strange arrangement. Something about heirs and protection. I hope you are not giving him false hope or strange ideas. Amara opened her mouth, then closed it. She could not reveal a dying man's private words. He is thinking about his family, she said carefully. It is normal. Adora frowned, clearly not satisfied. We don't need outsiders advising him on family matters, she said coldly. Doctors should face medicine. Family will face inheritance. Understand. The word stabbed again. Outsider. That night, Amara traveled home to Umwagu on a noisy bus, sitting by the window as the city lights faded and the red village road appeared. She watched children running barefoot, women returning from farms, men pushing wheelbarrows. Her father's face brightened when he saw her. Amara, he shouted, hugging her thin shoulders. What a surprise. You did not tell us you were coming. I needed to see you, she said, forcing a small smile. Later, after dinner of yam and vegetable soup, when the stars were bright and the lantern was low, she told him everything. Not all the details, but enough. When she finished, her father's face was full of lines she had never noticed. So, he said slowly, a dying billionaire wants you to carry his son. In exchange, he will make sure our village has a hospital, our family is okay, and many people are helped. But people will talk. His daughters may fight you. Your life will never be the same. Yes, Amara whispered. And what does your heart say? She opened her mouth, then closed it again. My heart is confused, she admitted. I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to sell myself. But I also don't want to refuse a chance to save many lives. Is it greed, Papa, to accept? Or is it greed to say no just to keep my own image clean? Her father looked at her for a long time, his eyes shining in the lantern light. Some roads, he said at last, have no clean shoes, only clean hearts. She stared at the floor, his words turning around and around in her mind like a grinding stone. The next day, at sunrise, she was on her way back to the city, her stomach tight, her decision hidden deep inside her chest like a wrapped parcel. When she reached the hospital and entered the ICU, she found the room crowded. All 12 daughters, 2 lawyers, 1 pastor, even some company men in suits. The air was heavy with perfume, tension, and fear. Chief Obinna lay on the bed, looking weaker but strangely satisfied. Dr. Amara, he said, voice thin but sharp enough to cut through the room. You are here. Good. Everyone turned to look at her. I have something to say, he announced, coughing. All of you must hear it. It concerns my last wish and my heir. He turned his head slowly, eyes locking on Amara's. In front of all of you, he said, lifting a shaking hand and pointing straight at her, I have chosen the woman who will bear my son. And before he could finish the sentence, the room exploded. For a heartbeat, nobody moved. The words hung in the air like smoke. One nurse dropped a file. A phone slipped from someone's hand and hit the floor. Then everything broke. What do you mean by that, Daddy? Papa, are you all right? This is madness. 12 voices rose at once, sharp and loud, like birds fighting over one grain. Silence. Chief Obinna's voice cracked through the noise. It was weak, but it carried the weight of a man who had commanded people all his life. The room slowly grew quiet again. His hand was still lifted, pointing at Amara. I have chosen her, he said, breathing hard. Dr. Amara Nady. But listen well, all of you, she has not agreed yet. I gave her 1 day to think. Today she will answer. If she says no, the matter ends here. If she says yes, you will hear my last wish and see my will changed in front of your eyes. All eyes turned to Amara. Some were angry. Some were scared. Some were just curious, like they were watching a strange movie. Amara felt like the floor was moving under her feet. Her mouth was dry. She heard her father's voice in her mind, calm and low. Some roads have no clean shoes, only clean hearts. Chief Obinna held her with his eyes. Amara, he said quietly, you have heard their noise. You have seen my condition. You know what I am asking. What is your answer? The room waited. Her heart beat so loudly she thought everyone could hear it. She saw her mother on that mat again, bleeding and alone. She saw women in her village walking miles in labor. She saw a real hospital with clean beds and bright lights standing on the red soil of Umwagu. She saw herself, older, telling her children how she once said yes to a dying man's strange wish, not to chase gold, but to save lives. She also saw tongues wagging, eyes rolling, people calling her names. Gold digger, husband snatcher, greedy village girl. Her hands were shaking, but her voice, when it came, was clear. I will say yes, she said slowly, but not without conditions. The room gasped. Adora stepped forward, eyes burning. Doctor, she snapped, this is not a market where you price yam. Let her speak. Chief Obinna interrupted. His lips trembled, but there was a small, proud smile in his eyes. Go on, Amara. She swallowed. First, she said, if I bear your son, there must be a hospital in Mwagu. Not just talk. It must be written clearly, in your will, that money is set aside to build and run it. Proper doctors, proper nurses. Not just a building for show. The lawyer in the corner nodded slowly, his pen already moving. Second, Amara continued, feeling strength rise with each word. There must be no secret. Your daughters must know. Your lawyer must know. Your village must know. I refuse to be one hidden woman that people discover later like a bad story. If we are doing this, we are doing it in the open. Murmurs filled the room. One of the middle daughters shook her head. And third, Amara said, I want respect. Not for me alone, but for the child. If God gives us a son, he must not grow in fear, like a thief in his own father's house. Your daughters, your family, your chiefs, they must sign that they accept him as your blood. I know they may not like me. That is fine. But they must not harm him. She looked around the room as she spoke. Some of the daughters looked away. One younger girl in a simple dress, standing at the back, held her gaze and gave the tiniest nod. Chief Obinna closed his eyes, then opened them again, shining with tears. You see why I chose her, he whispered. She did not ask for cars or houses first. She asked for a hospital. He turned to the lawyer. Write it. Everything. Today. Adora exploded. Daddy, this is madness, she shouted. How can you give such power to one outsider? We are your children. We have been with you all these years. Now one small girl from nowhere will carry the air and control everything. I did not say she will control everything, he replied quietly. You, my daughters, will still be on the board. You will run the companies. My son will have his place, but you will also have yours. This is not a game to push you away. It is my way to protect all of you. And what if she is lying? Another daughter cried. What if she takes all this and runs? What if she never gets pregnant? What if? You will all see the agreement, the lawyer said quickly. This is not a play. There will be medical records. IVF. Documents. No child. No inheritance. Everything will be written clearly. Amara's stomach twisted at his words. No child. No inheritance. So much pressure on one small life that did not even exist yet. The pastor cleared his throat. Chief, he said gently, are you sure this is God's will? Children are from God, not from paper and plans. Maybe it is time to accept that you have daughters and no son, and give your heart peace. Chief Obinna's voice softened. Pastor, I have prayed. I have cried. I have fought inside myself. Maybe I was greedy, yes. Maybe I am still greedy. But this is not just about my pride anymore. It is about protecting these same daughters. And maybe God is giving me one last road to do good before I meet him. I won't force the girl. She can still say no and walk away free. But if she stays, I want your prayers, not your stone. He looked back at Amara. You still have a chance to change your mind, he said. Say no, and I will not hate you. Amara thought of her father's hands, hard from farm work, her brother's thin school uniform, her grandmother's bent back. She thought of all the women who would never know her name but would sleep on clean hospital beds because of this choice. I will not change my mind, she said softly. I accept. The lawyer wrote faster. The room filled with a strange, heavy silence. Something had shifted in the air. A road had been chosen, and there was no going back. Later that day, after signatures, prayers, and long arguments, Amara stepped out of the hospital, feeling like she had walked out of one world and into another. The sun was hot. The city noise felt far away. Her phone buzzed. Busy. Is it true? The whole hospital is talking. Some people said you are now the mother of a billionaire's heir. Others said you trapped him. Are you okay? Amara closed her eyes for a moment, then typed back. I am not a trap. I am a bridge. I hope. That weekend, she went home to Mwago again. The red road welcomed her. Children waved. Women greeted her as Doctor. Doctor. Her father met her at the door, worry on his face. "So," he said that night, after she explained everything, including her conditions, the will, the plan for IVF, "you have truly stepped into the lion's house." "Yes," she whispered. Her grandmother, Mama Omalika, sat on her small wooden stool listening. Her eyes were cloudy with age, but her mind was sharp. "Come here, Amara," the old woman said. "Sit by me." Amara sat at her feet like a child. "In our village," Mama Omalika began, "there was once a man who found a big, sweet yam in his farm. The yam was so big he could not carry it alone. He cut it and shared small pieces with some people. But when he reached home, he hid the biggest piece under his bed and said, 'This one is only for me.' That night, the yam began to rot and smell. His whole house stank. He could not sleep. The yam brought him no joy." She tapped Amara's knee gently. "Blessings that you hide and keep only for yourself will rot," she said. "Blessings that you share will fill the air with good smell. If you are going to walk this road, remember, don't let this man's money and this child become yam under your bed. Use it to feed others. Then, even if people talk, your spirit will have peace." Tears filled Amara's eyes. "I don't want to be greedy, Mama," she whispered. "But I am afraid. Afraid of failing. Afraid of people's mouths." The old woman smiled, showing gaps in her teeth. "People's mouths will talk whether you fail or succeed," she said. "The question is, when God looks at you, will he smile? Keep your heart clean, my child. That is your own work. The rest is God's." Those words became Amara's new quiet song. 2 weeks later, back in the city, she sat in a different hospital building, a private fertility clinic, small but neat. The billionaire had offered to send a big car to carry her, but she refused. She came in a simple taxi, wearing a loose dress and carrying a small bag. Dr. Hassan, the fertility specialist, was kind and calm. "We will use IVF," he explained in simple words. "We will collect chief seed and join it with your egg in the lab. Then we will place the tiny life inside you. After that, we wait. There is no full guarantee. It may work, it may not. There may be one baby, more than one, or none. You must prepare your mind." "I understand," Amara said, though her fingers gripped her dress tightly. The process was not easy. There were injections that made her body feel strange. There were blood tests, scans, quiet drives home where she pressed her forehead against the cool taxi window and prayed without words. Sometimes she felt hopeful. Sometimes she felt like a small boat in a big, dark sea. One day, as she sat in the clinic waiting room, someone sat beside her. It was the younger daughter who had nodded at her in the ICU, the one in the simple dress. "Hi," the girl said shyly. "I'm Kosi, the last-born. I wanted to say, thank you." "Thank you." Amara blinked. "Yes," Kosi said, "for agreeing to this. We argue a lot in my family, but I know my father sleeps better now. I also know it can't be easy for you. If you ever need someone to talk to, I am here. Not as enemy, as sister." Amara's throat grew tight. "Thank you, Kosi," she said softly. "I will remember." At last, the day came for the embryo transfer. Dr. Hassan smiled. "We have a good one," he said. "We will put it in carefully. After that, you must rest. Then we wait 2 weeks before we can say anything." As Amara lay on the bed, watching the small screen, she whispered, "God, if this is your will, let life grow. If not, give me strength to accept." The procedure was gentle and quick. But when it was done, she felt like the whole world had changed, because somewhere deep inside her, something tiny and silent might be starting. On her way back, her phone rang again and again. She ignored it at first, wanting peace. But when it kept buzzing, she finally checked. 3 missed calls from Beezy. 1 message. "Answer your phone now. It's Chief. It's bad." Cold fear rushed through her. She told the taxi driver to turn toward Udo Central Hospital. When she arrived, the corridor outside the ICU was chaos. Nurses running. A monitor alarm screaming from inside. 2 daughters crying loudly. A doctor shouting orders. Beezy grabbed her arm. His blood pressure dropped suddenly, she said, eyes wide with fear. His liver is failing. They're trying everything, but it's bad, Amara. Very bad. And the lawyer is saying if he dies before some final signatures and registrations, people can challenge everything. Through the glass, Amara saw Chief Obina on the bed, his skin yellowish, his chest rising in fast, shallow breaths. The machines around him were flashing red. In that moment, she felt two lives pulling at her. The weak old man fighting for his last breaths, and the tiny maybe baby inside her that might carry his name. If he died now, before papers were finished, before the world fully knew their agreement, what would happen to his last wish? What would happen to her? To the child? As she stood frozen in the doorway, the heart monitor inside the room gave a long, sharp sound. Code Blue, someone shouted. He's crashing. The sound of the alarm cut through Amara's bones. Nurses rushed past her into the ICU. A doctor jumped onto the bed and began chest compressions. The heart monitor had turned from little hills to one flat, shouting line. Prepare adrenaline. Check the airway. Charge the defibrillator. 200. Amara stood at the glass, her hands pressed against it, her legs shaking. She was a doctor, used to emergencies, but today she felt like a small girl again, watching her mother fade on a mat. A nurse grabbed her arm. Dr. Amara, you shouldn't be standing, Beezy whispered. Remember the transfer. You need rest. My patient is dying, Amara said, her voice dry. And there may be a tiny life inside you, Beezy answered. 2 patients. Don't lose both. The words hit her like cold water. She let Beezy lead her to a chair in the corridor. Her head spun. She could hear the doctors shouting inside, but the sounds came as if from underwater. After some long minutes, the alarm stopped. The ICU doors opened. The consultant stepped out, wiping sweat from his forehead. Everyone in the corridor, daughters, lawyers, staff, looked at him with one big question in their eyes. We got him back, the consultant said at last. For now. But listen well, his liver is failing. His blood is weak. We are running out of road. If there are any final things he must do, do them soon. Adora began to cry quietly. Some of the other daughters hugged her. Some just stared. Amara let out a shaky breath she didn't know she was holding. Can I see him? She asked. Later, the consultant said. He is too weak now. Let him rest. And you, go home and lie down. The nurses will call you if anything changes. On the way home, Amara sat in the back of the taxi, holding her belly gently. I don't even know if there is a baby yet, she whispered to herself. But I must act as if there is. She thought of Chief's eyes, full of fear and hope. She thought of the red line on the heart monitor. She thought of the lawyer's words. If he dies before the last papers are signed, people can challenge everything. For the first time since she said yes, a dark thought crept into her mind. Maybe I made a mistake. Her phone rang. It was her father. Amara, I heard he almost died, he said, worry heavy in his voice. Are you okay? Did you eat? Did you lie down? Yes, Papa, she lied. I will rest. There was a short silence. My child, he said softly, you have stepped into a story that people will tell for years. But remember, it is still your life. Don't let the fear of losing money or a name make you lose yourself. Even if this man dies and people fight you, you must still be able to look at your own face in the mirror and say, I try to do good. That is more important than any will. His words made her eyes fill. I will try, Papa, she whispered. That night, sleep came in small broken pieces. She dreamed of a little boy running in a field, then falling through a hole in the ground. She woke up with tears on her face. Days went by. Chief Obina stayed in the ICU, swinging between awake and half asleep. Some days he could talk a little, other days he only squeezed hands. The doctors adjusted medicines, but the truth was clear. His body was slowly shutting down. The lawyer visited again and again, carrying files like heavy plates. We need his clear voice on record, he said. We have signed some papers, but there are still steps left. If he is too weak to write, We must record him speaking in front of witnesses. But there was another problem, his daughters. Every time the lawyer tried to speak to Chief about the heir or the hospital, some of them would step in. Daddy should not be stressed. You are forcing him to make quick choices. You are helping this girl trap our father. One afternoon, Amara walked into the ICU during visiting hour and felt the air harden around her. 3 daughters stood at the bed. Adora was at the center like a tall tree. "Oh, see her," one of them muttered. "Madam, future mother of the heir. She thinks she has already eaten our father's property," another said. Adora did not whisper. She spoke straight, her eyes cold. "Doctor," she said, "we have respected you as a medical person. But this thing you are doing now, it smells like greed. You came from nowhere. Now my father wants to give you power and money and a special child above his other children. Do you think we will clap for you?" Amara's throat went dry. "I never asked for power," she said quietly. "Asked for a hospital. I asked for respect for the child. I am not here to steal your father. I am here to help him die in peace. And collect sweet benefits," one daughter snapped. Something hot rose in Amara's chest. "I could have refused," she said, her voice shaking. "I could have gone home and forgotten all this. But I thought about the women in my village, about my mother, about the children who may live because one man chose to be generous before he died. If all I wanted was money, I would have asked differently." She felt a hand touch her arm. It was Kosi, the last-born. "Stop, please," Kosi told her sisters. "This is not helping Daddy. You are making things worse." "Of course you support her," one of them hissed. "You always like to be Daddy's baby." Kosi's eyes flashed. "You are not angry about justice," she said. "You are angry about sharing." The room went silent. Even the machines seemed to hold their breath. Adora's face twisted, not just with anger, but with something deeper, fear. "You think I don't see the uncles waiting?" she said, her voice cracking. "You think I don't see the board members who smile too much? We have been fighting wolves all our lives. Now one more person comes with a soft voice and big plans. How do I know she is not another wolf?" For a moment, the 2 women, Adora in her gold wristwatch, Amara in her plain gown, stared at each other, both carrying heavy loads on their shoulders. In that moment, Amara saw not just a proud rich woman, but a firstborn daughter who had been standing guard over her family for years, fighting anyone who tried to cheat them. A soldier who did not know how to put down her shield. "I am not your enemy," Amara said softly, "but I cannot prove that with words. Only time will show. For now, please let him finish what he started." Behind them, a weak voice spoke. "Ada." "Amara." They all turned. Chief Obina's eyes were open, tired but clear. "Leave us," he whispered. "I want to speak to her. Alone." Adora hesitated, pain in her eyes. Then she nodded once and let her sisters out. Kosi gave Amara a small, worried look before following. When the door closed, Amara came closer to the bed. "You heard," Chief said. "You see how fear and greed wear the same dress. My daughters are afraid they will lose what is theirs. They also fear that others will steal. They don't know who to trust. I caused some of that with my way of living. I am sorry." Amara swallowed. "They are not wrong to be careful," she said gently. "People do use money to play tricks." He smiled weakly. "Including me," he said. "But this time, I want to leave something clean behind. Did you do the transfer?" "Yes," she said, placing a hand on her belly. "Some days ago. We will test in a week." His eyes softened in a way she had not seen before. "So my seed may already be walking your blood like a small traveler," he whispered. "Maybe, somewhere inside you, my last chance is knocking on a tiny door." Tears filled his eyes, and then hers. If the test is positive," he said, his voice thin, "promise me one thing." "What, sir?" "Raise that child to love people more than money," he said. "Teach him, or her, that the richest person is the one who sleeps with a clear mind. If I leave millions, and the child grows to be wicked, then this was all a waste. Promise me." "I promise," Amara said. "On my mother's grave." He closed his eyes, letting one tear roll down his cheek. "Call the lawyer," he said. "I must speak on video. My strength is going, but my voice is still mine." That evening, they set up a small camera in the ICU. The lawyer, the pastor, 2 nurses, and Kosi stood as witnesses. Chief Obina spoke slowly, resting between sentences, but his words were sharp. He named each daughter and what they would receive. He mentioned their years of loyalty and love. He warned greedy relatives and outsiders not to trouble them. He spoke of the hospital to be built in Mwago, not as a gift to Amara alone but as a service to the poor. He called Amara by name and blessed her for saying yes when she could have run. Lastly, he spoke of any child born from the medical joining of my seed and Dr. Amara Nadi's egg, and named that child as his heir, boy or girl, with special duties to protect the businesses and the workers. "This is not to lift one child above the rest," he said. "It is to shield all my children from wolves who speak the language of male heir and use it to steal." When he finished, he was too weak to speak again. His chest rose and fell like a tired drum. Nurses adjusted his drips. The lawyer packed the camera like a treasure. Outside, news began to leak. A few staff whispered to others. Someone typed on their phone. By the next day, social media had caught the story in its teeth. Billionaire chooses young doctor to carry his heir. 12 daughters, no son. Strange last wish, Sheikh Zudo. People who had never met Amara spoke of her. Some said she was a gold digger. Some said she was a brave hero. Some said she was both. Amara tried not to read, but the words still reached her. They stung, then slowly turned into a hard, quiet strength. "I did not do this for them," she told herself. "I did it for my mother, for my village, for my future child. Let my heart stay clean." At last, the day came for the pregnancy test. She woke before dawn, her hands cold. In the small bathroom of her room, she held the test stick and prayed. "God, you know everything," she whispered. "If this life has started, give it strength. If not, give me peace to carry this shame and this pain." She followed the clinic's instructions, then placed the test stick face down on the sink. She had to wait a few minutes before turning it. Each second felt like a year. Her phone lay on the bed. She stared at the ceiling. She thought of 2 futures, one where she was carrying a child with a huge name, and one where her womb was empty and all the talk and wait had been for nothing. Her phone began to buzz. One call, then another. On the third, she picked up. It was busy. "Amara," she said, voice shaking. "Come to the hospital now. Chief is very bad." The consultant said this may be his last day. "He is asking for you." The daughters are already fighting near the ICU. Amara looked at the test stick on the sink, still face down, holding the answer to everything. She looked at her phone, heard the panic in Beezy's voice. Between her and the truth stood one small movement, turning that stick over. Her hand hovered in the air, caught between the tiny white plastic in the bathroom and the dying man in the ICU who was waiting to know if his last wish had started to come true. She took a deep breath, reached for the test stick, and stopped, her fingers shaking, as if the whole world was holding its breath with her. You won't believe what she saw. Subscribe for part 2.